I don't see right offhand. It should be in the hallway. Okay, if you're holding it, if you haven't asked Gemara, we are holding 30A4. Yeah. Bring the Gemara up on the screen. So there are four Parshas, four special Parshas throughout the course of the year, course of the month of Adar, that we add to remind us of certain things that take place during that time. Four Parshas in order are Shkalim, which we do the Shabbos right before or the Shabbos of Rosh Chodesh Adar, to remind everyone to get your machas shekel, your half coins ready, to remind the money changers, get their small change ready. And everyone needs 2 weeks advance, and you do it always at least 2 weeks before Purim. So the Shabbos of Rosh Chodesh Adar or the Shabbos before Rosh Chodesh Adar, you read Parshas Shkalim.
And you also have to pay the money changer something too, no?
Right, kolbain, right? To pay the money changer, a money changer's fee. You got to make a living too. The next of the four Parshas is called Parshas Zachar, which is the Shabbos always before Purim. We've had a discussion. Could it be sometimes 2 weeks before Purim? Could it be the Shabbos after Purim? But what the conclusion is that we always do it the Shabbos before Purim, regardless of when Purim comes out. Even when Purim was able to come out on Shabbos, we still did it the Shabbos before Purim. And Zachar means remember. And you weren't here yesterday when we said this, but why is it called Parshas Zachar? The town Shiur used to say, because that's the last thing you remember until after Purim.
Yeah, I was on Zoom yesterday.
Right, but they came after we said that part.
Exactly, yeah.
Third Parsha,
about a quarter of an hour.
Third extra portion is called Parshas Parah, cow, the red cow, which tells everyone to purify yourselves, make yourselves holy.
Okay, sure.
Parah is a red cow, a red heifer. Everyone has to purify themselves in order to bring the carbon Pesach.
What's the maximum age ever could be?
It says between 1 and 2 years, I think.
Then it's not a cow, it's a heifer.
It's a heifer?
Heifer is a junior.
Has to be over a year old.
Yeah.
And I think not past 2 years old.
So it's still a calf. No, a heifer is older than a calf.
A heifer is older than a calf.
But it's not yet a cow.
And not yet a full cow. So I'm not sure all the exact, I don't remember, I'd say, right now, the exact halachas. There's many other halachas. If it got pregnant, it's no longer valid to be a cow. And many other halachas. Parshas Hachodesh is the last one, which you always read the Shabbos before or the Shabbos of Rosh Chodesh Nisan, and that's the one we're going to discuss today. Discusses what is Rosh Chodesh, what is a new moon, and the halachas of carbon Pesach. Correct. So if you were holding Bashlishis on the third Shabbos, Parah Aduma. We read the portion about the red heifer, about the red cow, which was used in order to purify the Jewish people. Now, this is the quintessential mitzvah, which we do not know the reason to. Right? That's a mitzvah which Moshe Rabbeinu could not understand the reason. The one who prepares a red cow becomes tameh, becomes impure, while the one who gets sprinkled by it becomes tar, becomes pure. We read it a few weeks ago in Parshas Chukas. It says Zois Chukas HaTorah, beginning of Parshas Chukas. 2 weeks ago, the first aliyah and a little bit into the second aliyah is the Parshas Parah, the portion of the Torah talking about regarding the Parah Aduma. Now, being that we need to become purified for the carbon Pesach, and it's a week-long process. So you're telling everyone, purify yourself, give them at least a week to get ready, maybe a few more days. It would make more sense to do it on Rosh Chodesh Nisan. You need to give time for everyone to purify themselves and then go up to Yerushalayim and prepare a carbon Pesach and get everything ready.
Yeah, that's all.
If he did, then he has to go to Pesach Sheni. But many people, if you weren't a Talmud Chacham, if you weren't a Chaver, you generally didn't purify yourself, and you weren't a Kohen. You kept yourself, if you became Tameh impure, you wouldn't purify yourself unless you needed to go to the Beis HaMikdash or bring a carbon. But now that everyone has to go to the Beis HaMikdash for the carbon Pesach, and everyone must eat a carbon, every single person, so then it's a reminder to everyone to purify themselves. But Parshas Hachodesh has to come even closer to Pesach, because Parshas Hachodesh mainly, the main theme of it is the mitzvahs and the halachas of the carbon Pesach. There's one pasuk, one verse about Hachodesh is lachem. This is when you see a moon looks like this. This is a new moon, and from then on, it's only the halachas of carbon Pesach. You have to eat in a group, and you have to, etc., exactly how you eat it, and to roast it. So the Gemara states, Bashlishis Parah Duma. This is about 10 lines from the bottom of the page, Lamed Aleph 30a. On the third Shabbos, that you add a special extra portion, you read the Parsha of Parah Duma. Tan Rabbanon, Ezehi Shabbos Shlishis. What is the third Shabbos? We're going to have two opinions. What does it mean, the third week? Kollel Shesmucha Lepurim Meachareha. Whatever Shabbos is a Shabbos following Purim. Now, the big screen over here is not, I don't have it on there, but over here on this screen, you can see it. We'll bring an example from 2 different years. Purim over here is on a Friday, and Parshas Hachodesh, Parshas Parah is a Shabbos before Parshas Hachodesh. So the first opinion states, whichever Shabbos occurs immediately after Purim, that's when you read Parshas Parah. So in that particular year, Parshas Parah is going to be the Shabbos after Shushan Purim. Rabbi Chama be Rabbi Chanina Amar b'Shabbos hasmuch l'Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Rabbi Chama, the son of Rabbi Chanina, says that you always read Parshas Parah immediately the Shabbos before Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Now, seemingly, we read Parshas Hachodesh, which we just enumerated that Parshas Hachodesh has the halachas of carbon Pesach and Rosh Chodesh. You read that as the Shabbos before Rosh Chodesh Nisan. So what does how could Rabbi Chama bar Chanina say that you read Parshas Parah, the Shabbos before Rosh Chodesh Nisan? So the Gemara will say he's speaking about only one specific case, V'loi Pligi, and Rabbi Chama bar Chanina, and the first opinion, which is the sages, do not disagree. Ha deikla Rosh Chodesh Nisan b'Shabbos, ha deikla b'emtza Shabbos. This that you, Rabbi Chama bar Chanina, said that you read Parshas Parah, the Shabbos before Rosh Chodesh Nisan. That is, and I went through the calendar, and the next time it will happen on our calendar is in the year 2029. Right, that's what we have here, March 2029. But Rosh Chodesh Nisan is on Shabbos, is Parshas Hachodesh. The Shabbos before is Parshas Parah. And the Shabbos before that, Kisisa, is the Shabbos after Purim. Purim was on a Thursday. Shushan Purim is on a Friday, the 15th of Adar. Shabbos is the 16th of Adar, Parshas Kisisa. And there's no special Parsha being read. The next Shabbos is the 23rd of Adar. You read Parshas Parah. The next Shabbos is Aleph Nisan, the 1st of Nisan, and you read Parshas Hachodesh. Usually, in most years, so every year from now and from even several years ago until 2029, Parshas Parah is not the Shabbos before Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Parshas HaChodesh is the one you read on the Shabbos before Rosh Chodesh Nisan. The exception is if Rosh Chodesh Nisan itself comes out on Shabbos, then you read Parshas HaChodesh on Rosh Chodesh Nisan, and the Shabbos before will be Parshas Parah, and you'll have a break in the 4 Parshas, the Shabbos after Purim. Okay. And then you have something that is not so common. You have 2 breaks while you're reading the 4 Parshas. Parshas Shkalim, it will be Chaf Hei Shvat, 25th of Shvat. Parshas Mishpatim, you'll have a break for a week. On the next Shabbos, Truma. 2nd of Adar, you don't read any special Parsha. Parsha Zachar will then be on the 9th of Adar, the Shabbos before Purim, Parshas Tetzaveh. And the Shabbos after that is Parshas Kisisa, where there's no special Torah portion. And then you have 2 weeks in a row, Parshas Parah and Parshas Hachodesh, which is on Vayakel, Pekudei, and Vayikra, 23rd of Adar and the 1st of Nisan. But you have 2 breaks during the reading of the 4 Parshas. So in such a year like you have, in that year, let's say 2029, or other years that come out to be like that, where Shabbos, where Rosh Chodesh Nisan comes out to be on Shabbos. So in such a year, you'll read Parshas Parah, the Shabbos before Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Can you think offhand? Think of somebody who passed away right Matzah Shabbos or Rosh Chodesh Nisan, in the year 1920, Beis Nisan. Rebbe Hershel. Right? He passed the Shabbos was Rosh Chodesh Nisan, and he passed away Beis Nisan. Right? My father's father's father, my great grandfather, his name was, I carry his namesake, Chaim Shner Zalman Itkin. He passed away on that Shabbos Rosh Chodesh Nisan. And he met the same year that Rebbe Hershel. And Matzah Shabbos, he came to his wife in a dream, asking for his kapata. She said, "Why?" He says, "Because I was in Shemayim a short time, and he was buried Matzah Shabbos. Rebbe Hershel passed away a few hours later in Rostov, and he says I was in Shemayim for a short time, and I saw the Neshamas running, and they said, I asked them, where are you running to? They said the Rebbe is coming, so I need a kapata, a Shabbos close to greet the Rebbe." And they only found out that a little while later, because of the war and all that, the Rebbe Hershel passed away that Matzah Shabbos.
And so no doubt he got a spiritual kapata.
Correct. The rule is Parshas Parah is always next to Parshas Hachodesh. You don't make any interruption at all. And there's a hint brought in the Yerushalmi regarding the 4 Parshas from the halachas of the Seder. Seder, you have to have 4 cups of wine. Between the 2nd and 3rd cup, you're allowed to interrupt. You're allowed to drink more wine. Shulchan Aruch, you can drink as much wine as you like. Okay? Between the 3rd and 4th cup, between the cup of Birchas Hamazon and the cup of Nirtza, you're not allowed to drink any more wine. So that's a hint that they bring. Between the 1st and 2nd cup, better not to, but if you did, it's not considered to be really an interruption. But between the 3rd and 4th cup of wine, you cannot interrupt at all. Between the cup after Berach and the cup of the Nirtza, cup after Halal, cup of wine. And in a similar way, you could have an interruption between the first 2 of the 4 Parshas. So between the Parsha of Parshas Shkalim and Parshas Zachar, you could have an interruption. You could have an interruption between Parshas Zachar and Parshas Parah. You won't have an interruption between Parshas Parah and Parshas Hachodesh. And the reason is because both of these are connected to Rosh Chodesh Nisan, the 1st of Nisan. And so you want to squeeze them in as close as possible to these 4 Parshas. Let's say it happens, and I could see it happening, if for whatever reason, the Habcechirah or the Shul, they forgot to read the extra Parsha of that week. Should they read it the next week? Halacha is no, because every one of these Parshas have a special connection to that week. However, if it's still on that Shabbos, but you just forgot to read the 4. So, for example, the Haftarah was already finished, and you forgot to read, let's say, Parshas Parah, Parshas Hachodesh. So then you could take on another Sefer Torah and read just that, make another Aliyah, another Parsha, another Kriya, just with that Aliyah. And then you read again, and you read the new Haftarah, that's a Parsha of that week, without the brachas. If by mistake, you can have this happen in the shul with many Sefer Torah, and they're very advanced. So maybe they have so many Sefer Torah, some shuls like that, and they have more Sefer Torah sometimes, and they have people in the congregation. So they'll have one Sefer Torah set the whole year to Rosh Chodesh, one Sefer Torah set the whole year to Parshas Zachar, one Sefer Torah set the whole year to Parshas Shkalim. And so let's say they took the wrong Sefer Torah out. You definitely cannot change the Sefer Torah. Once you take out a Sefer Torah, you have to, even if it's far away, you have to roll the Sefer Torah to that spot, even if it's far, because it's a pegam. If you take out a Sefer Torah without reading from it, it's a pegam. You're calling attention, a blemish to that Sefer Torah. What about the half Torahs? Correct? There's a Torah and then a half Torah. Half Torah, we learned previously, when there was a decree against the Jewish people not to learn the Torah, the sages came up with the half Torah. 21 verses from the Nevi'im, from the prophets, for the half Torah, which we read every single Shabbos, and we added on extra aliyah, and we added on as eighth aliyah, and we say Kaddish in between to differentiate. This is from Moshe and Ezra, and this is from a later enactment during the times of the decree. And we have the Haftarah. Now, Haftarah is different, always different, and we're going to touch upon, for the next little part, the Haftarahs until the next mission, the different Haftarahs of different special times, different Parshas that you read and different times that you read. And goal today is to get to the next, or at least as close as we could to the next Mishnah. You ever heard of Rav Zev Wolf of Strikov?
No.
The Talmud of, I think, the Chayz of Lublin.
Oh, no, I have, yeah. Strikov, you said, or
Strikov.
Strikov, yeah, I've heard of him, yeah.
Okay, correct. Now, Parshas Parah talks about making yourself tahar, pure from a tumas mes, being impure from if someone got in contact with a person who was not alive, that person, in order to bring Korban Pesach. Now, it's definitely must be only connected to Parshas, to Rosh Chodesh Nisan. So how come our Mishnah stated, we brought a Brisa which explained our Mishnah that the Shabbos, the third Shabbos, is whatever one is coming, following Parshas, following Purim. That's the one when you read Parshas Parah. What's the connection to Purim? It's connected to Pesach, Parshas Parah. It's not connected to Purim. Parshas Zachar is connected to Parah. You ever heard of a Per Adam?
Oh, yeah. You say wild.
Who? Yeah, Per Adam.
Yishmael.
Yishmael is called a Per Adam, a wild person. How do you say a female Per Adam?
Parah.
A Parah Aduma.
Oh, yeah, Parah.
That's what you say in Hebrew.
Yeah.
A Parah Aduma.
Red heifer.
Like there was a Yoris, a Schwarzer Yoris.
Yeah.
And she was teaching in Beis Rivka.
Mm-hmm.
And then she didn't come in for a while. She's depressed. So they called her Marashchara.
Marashchara. Interesting. Yes. Rebbe, you know Zalman Jaffe. You've heard of him? You remember him? Zalman Jaffe. He was someone with a very quirky sense of humor. But he always made the Rebbe laugh. And for that reason enough, people, gave him all of his space and all. So he came over to the Rebbe once and he told the Rebbe, "What do you call a female galach, female priest?"
A galecha?
A galechte. In Hebrew, galechte means in Yiddish. Galechte. Galechte means a joke. A galechte. You call a female galach a galechte. And the Rebbe laughed so hard he almost fell off his chair. So the Revolve of Strikov, he says that why does the Bryce over here connect Parshas Parah to Purim and not connecting it to the Rosh Chodesh Nisan, to the Parah Aduma? He says because it wants to give you a very special message. Purim accomplishes the same idea of Parah Aduma. The idea of Parah Aduma is tarasan, to purify the Jewish people. And the idea of Purim, from when Esther gathered all the Jewish people, is he gathered them together to purify them. Several places in Tanakh, you have the word vayasvu, vayitaru. He's asvu, he's asvu vayitaru. Gathering together brings people to become tara, to become pure. When everyone gathers together, people generally who usually gather together because we want to become greater, want to elevate ourselves. And even more than that, it comes down to a practical halachic difference. With halacha, there's a rule in halacha that maga amaretz tamei, not maga, maga. Maga means a touch. Amaretz is someone who is not a Torah scholar. Tamei, if he touches anything, he defiles it and makes it impure, and it cannot be used in the Beis Hamikdash because they don't know that they might have become tamei, impure. They don't know the halachas of Tuma and Tara, purity and impurity, and it's very possible it can always defile something without even knowing. But there's one difference. Beregel says when it comes to Yom Tiv, even Amaretz is considered to be Tara, considered to be pure. So, for example, when it comes to Pesach, Shavuos, or Sukkot, anything in Amaretz, a non-learned person touches in Yerushalayim is all Tara, is all pure, because Hakol Mitarin Atzman Beregel. When everyone gathers together, they purify themselves. And you're pure until after the regel, until after the holiday. It says in the Beis Hamikdash, everything was pure, everything was always, never became tamei. After Yom Tiv, they would toivel everything, they would sprinkle a parah aduma and toivel everything. In the Beis Hamikdash, every vessel, because of maga ma'aretz, unlearned people who didn't know the halachas of purity and impurity touched it, but not because it touched it during Yom Tiv, but after Yom Tiv. During Yom Tiv, it was considered to be tahar. So since the whole idea of Purim, which is Kenois Kollel Yehudim, gather the Jews together, is idea of Tara, purity, and therefore Parshas Parah is idea of Tara is connected to Purim, and that's why the Brisa, which you just brought down, connects Parshas Parah to Purim. What is the fourth parsha? Fourth parsha, we had Shkalim, Zachar, Parah, and Hachodesh. The new one, the new moon, and the Lachas of Purim. The fourth parsha is Hachodesh. Taner Rabbanan. The fourth week, the fourth special parsha, you add Hachodesh Zalchem. This month is to you an extra month. Taner Rabbanan, our sages have learned in a brisa, taught in a brisa. Rish Chodesh Adar, Shechaliyas b'Shabbos, if, as in the year 2021 this took place, the first of Adar came out to be on Rish Chodesh Adar, as on Shabbos, and we read Parshas Shkalim on that day. Kariyin Kisisa, so you read Parshas Shkalim, which is in the Parsha of Kisisa. Right? So although, let's say in the year 2021, Parshas Shkalim was during the week of Mishpatim, but you read Parshas Shkalim from Parshas Kisisa. Just a reference. It's again a handy little reference over here. Parshas Kisisa is over here, and Parshas Mishpatim is over here. Umaftirin b'hayada, and the maftir, which is a haftarah, person who receives last aliyah, he reads Yahayada Akayin, which we brought this earlier. The haftarah is always thematic with the last thing that you read, the most recent thing that you read in the parsha, or the entire theme of the parsha. And in the Maftir of Yad HaKayin, we speak about how the king Yehoyash gathered money together with Yad HaKayin in order to renovate the Beis HaMikdash, and that's the same thing as Machzis HaShekel, taking a half coin to use for the needs of the Beis HaMikdash and the city. What is the first Shabbos? I mean, what is the first week of the 4 weeks that you read these 4 parshas? Which either the Shabbos before Rosh Chodesh Adar, as it is, and let's just bring up the year 2029 as an example. Rosh Chodesh Adar was on a Friday, and you read Parshas Shkalim the week before on Shabbos. So whichever is a Shabbos before Rosh Chodesh Adar, if it's a weekday. Feel about Shabbos, even if, like the example of the year 2029, if Rosh Chodesh Adar is on Friday, you still read Parshas Shkalim the week before the Shabbos. Before, unlike the opinion of Shmuel, which said that you read it on Beis Nisan, on Beis Adar, because you still have 2 weeks enough time notice for the money changers to get their goods ready. Bashnia, the second of the 4 Parshas, and it's the second Shabbos that you read one of the 4 Parshas. You read Zachar, you read Parshas Zachar. Maftirin, and the Haftarah is Hakadati. Hashem says, I remember what King Shaul did when he did not totally eradicate Amalek. This is unfortunately a very common theme in Israeli politics. They're holding by a winning position and they don't finish the job. Right? It's not a new phenomena. It goes all the way back to the time of Shaul HaMelech. Right? That Shaul HaMelech killed all the men of Agag, and he killed the entire nation of Amalek, besides for the one king, Agag, and he kept him alive for an extra day, and he kept the sheep alive, and Agag managed to replenish during the one night before he was killed by Shmuel. While he was in prison, he managed to restart the nation of Amalek, and also a lot of the sheep they were actually, Medrash says that they were actually some of the witchcraft, the sorcerers of Amalek who turned themselves into sheep, and Shaul did not kill them. He wanted to bring them as karbanas. And therefore, it's thematic with Parshas Zachar. Parshas Zachar is a parsha of Amalek. Remember what Amalek did to us, and Shaul, once again, he tried to do the mitzvah of destroying Amalek. He was the first Jewish king, and he did not complete the mitzvah. And that's the Haftarah of Parshas Zachar. Ezu Shabbos. We said the second Shabbos that you read an extra Torah portion of these 4 Torah portions is the second. Which is considered to be the second? So we say it doesn't have to be consecutive to the first one, as in most years. Just bring up this example again, 2029. Where Parshas Shkalim is on the 25th of Shvat, and Parshas Zachar is on the 9th of Adar, 10th of February 10th and February 24th. It's not consecutive, but Parshas Zachar is always a Shabbos before Purim. That year, Purim is on a Thursday. So the second Shabbos doesn't mean the second consecutively, rather means the second Shabbos that you read, and it's always a Shabbos before Purim, Shabbos, even if Purim is on a Friday. Like in the year 2029, even if Purim is on a Friday, still you read Parshas Zachar the Shabbos before. You don't read it the Shabbos after, like the opinion of Rav, not like the opinion of Shmuel. Bashlishis, the third of the 4 Parshas, is Parshas Parah, Parah Aduma, the red cow, the red heifer. Maftirin, and Haftarah is, the whole idea of the red cow is to purify yourself, get yourself ready for the ashes of the red cow. And it's very interesting, some of our arch enemies today, can't say our biggest because unfortunately we have many, but some of our biggest arch enemies, Hamas, and they're so official. They used to be terrorists in hiding. Now they have a spokesman, and now they even have members in Congress. And they actually, one of their people they mentioned, well, what's your impetus, and one of the things is, as I said, it's because they talked about, the red cow. Which red cow? Most people didn't know most people who hear this didn't understand what that meant. But there was a certain movement, I think it started in Texas, where they're trying to, they're doing Eretz Yisrael, but quietly. They're doing it outside of Eretz Yisrael. They're allowed that they found the red heifer, and they want to bring it to Eretz Yisrael, and it's a lot of evangelicals, and they say it's a harbinger to Mashiach. And every once in a while, you'll see a news story, a new Parah Aduma, a new red heifer was born. See that every year or two. And I say they want to get the red cow in order to kick us off the Al-Aqsa, off Temple Mount. So it's not just something which is old, but even has repercussions today. We'll even take into account, our enemies take into account the Parah Aduma. I think it's about time we take into account the Parah Aduma. And the third one is Parah Aduma, Maftirin, V'zerachti Aleichem, and you have the Haftarah which comes from Yecheskel, which I will sprinkle on you when Mashiach comes, pure waters, and I will purify you. It says, the entire world will become purified. Which is...
Not with the entire world.
correct.
But how's the entire world going to become purified? Just by the understanding.
Right, Hashem will do it.
But without the ashes.
So will Hashem use actual physical ashes? I think in many, I'm not sure physical ashes, but it could be like in a spiritual sense. Hashem, Mayim Tahirim, right? Many things that the Nevi'im say are mashal. Mayim Tahirim is pure waters, could be the secrets of the Torah. Water is Torah, pure is the secrets of the Torah. Could be different ways that Hashem will purify every single object. The physical ashes and water with ashes, the Parah Aduma, is only necessary for objects that became impure with a dead body.
Yeah.
But it's more than that. I'm saying to purify our entire being, meaning to purify ourselves, get rid of the Yetzer Hara, that's going to take much more than just physical ashes of Parah Aduma. So that's what usually it's referring to over there. I will sprinkle on you the holy waters, and it will purify you from all of your iniquities, all of your impurities. What is a third Shabbos? The Shabbos which is after Purim, and we explain that there's a caveat to that. Caveat is in a year where Rosh Chodesh Nisan is on Shabbos, so then the week after Purim is a week where you don't learn any Parsha, and because that week of Kisisa, let's say the year 2029, and then Rosh Chodesh Nisan, which is Shabbos, will be Parshas Hachodesh. That's the first of Nisan, March 17. March 10 will be Parah Aduma. That's Chav Gimel Adar, 23rd of Adar. And the 16th of Adar, the day after Shushan Purim, will be a week where you don't have an extra Parsha, will be the second break. So that we qualify this last statement. But Revi'is, on the fourth Parsha of the special weeks, you read Hachodesh Hazeh. You read from Parshas Boy. Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu, this month for you is, right, this is Parah Aduma. Let's go to Hachodesh Hazeh. Shmois. Boy. Revi'i. Chamishi. Here. Right, Shmois Yebez. Hashem told Moshe and Aaron in the land of Egypt, this month, which is a month of Nisan, shall be for you the head of the months. Hashem showed him a new moon. He said, when the moon looks like this is Rosh Chodesh. This Rosh Chodesh is the first of the months. Now speak to the whole entire congregation of the Jewish nation, and this is how you should get ready for the Karban Pesach. And tells them, get ready to prepare it, to shecht it, and everything else you have to do for the Karban Pesach. So that is a fourth parsha, and you read it either on the Shabbos of Rosh Chodesh Nisan or Shabbos before Rosh Chodesh Nisan. It's because on Rosh Chodesh Nisan is Rosh Chodesh. You have to always read it on or before Rosh Chodesh. So Revi'is HaChodesh Hazeh. You read, this month shall be for you the new moon and the laws of Pesach. This Kriyas HaTorah, this Torah reading is rabbinical in nature. It's not biblical. Parshas Zachar is biblical. The mitzvah to destroy Amalek. Parshas Parah, there's a side to say that it's biblical as well, even nowadays. Parshas Hachodesh and Parshas Shkolim are totally rabbinical because nowadays we don't have Machzah Shekel. Mitigate the voice. Nowadays, we don't have shkalim. We don't have a Beis HaMikdash. We do have a shekel as a commemoration. This is all rabbinical in nature. And Parshas Hachodesh is also rabbinical in nature because nowadays, Rosh Chodesh is not always on the day of Rosh Chodesh. We just have a day, 29 and 30. Right? We have a set calendar. We don't have witnesses. We don't have the full type of Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh is not based on when you see the moon. Rosh Chodesh is based on when the calendar was set, even if the moon can't be seen, or even if it could be seen on a different day. And therefore, it's also rabbinical in nature. It's midrabanan. And Naftir is Koyamar Hashem Elikim Barishan Bechel HaChodesh. Thus says Hashem on the first of Rosh Chodesh, Nisan, and you should clean out, you should purify the Beis HaMikdash. Turning the page, Lamed Amid Beis, 30b. Ezu Shabbos Revius, what is considered to be the fourth week? Kol Shachodesh Chodesh Nisan Lias B'Toicha Afilu B'Erev Shabbos. Whichever week Rosh Chodesh Nisan is inside occurs, even if it occurs on Friday, even on Erev Shabbos. Right, and that's we brought some examples of this. So, for example, in the year 2029, Rosh Chodesh Nisan is going to be on a Shabbos, and you read Parshas Hachodesh on Shabbos itself, and a year like this is 2021, Parshas Hachodesh, you read on 29th of Adar, Rosh Chodesh is the next day. But other years, Rosh Chodesh Nisan can be on Shabbos, whichever week Rosh Chodesh Nisan takes place inside of it. And even if you have before, even Shmuel would agree that Betoicha means the middle of the week.
How old will you be?
What?
How old will you be in 2029?
Good question. To check my math. I'm not sure how old I'll be then. Let me say Hashem, we should all be healthy and happy in 2029. What?
6 years.
It's in 4 or 5 years from now. And that's 2024, and that's going to be in 2029. Right. Rashi brings an interesting mnemonic over here. Zavdu tat rid, zatu bo dad biv. But we're very interesting back and forth. We're not going to get into that right now. So you see a very interesting thing. What are the haftarahs of the first two parshas, Parshas Shkalim and Parshas Zachar? Both of them are gullus things. Parshas Shkalim, Yayada HaKoyin, the Jewish people during the time of Achav, and Yehoyash was the son of Achav, Dovi? Yehoyash was the son of?
Yehoyash. He was the son of Yehoyash. He was the son. Wait, are you about
Yehoyash the king?
Oh, wait, but the kingdom of Israel.
Kingdom of Yehuda.
Oh, the son of Achav then.
Son of Achav, right? Yehoyash, son of Achav. During the time of his father Achav, so the entire Beis HaMikdash was abandoned, was falling into disrepair. Nobody was fixing it. Yehoyash gathered Shkalim to fix it.
Oh, no. In that case, it would be the southern kingdom. And his father was assassinated because of the fact actually that there was war between Israel and Yehuda, and married into the family of actually King Achav. Right? So Yoash actually, he was gathered. At that time he was righteous all the days of Yehoiada.
So his father was Achaz. Father was Achaz.
No.
Achaz. Anyway, so but we think it's not so important for this, but this is during a time when the Beis HaMikdash was falling into disrepair, and they had to collect money to fix it. And that's the Yada HaKoyin. The Parshas Zachar is the same thing. The Jews had to fight against Amalek, and to fight against Amalek, the haftarah is that Shalom Melech did not listen to Shmuel and did not obliterate Amalek, and because of that, Amalek was still around. Times of Purim, they say that Chaim saw a picture of Hitler, and pointed out features on his face that he comes from Amalek. Could be.
And King David was fighting against Amalek.
Correct. That's before Purim. Comes after Purim, v'nahapechu, turn everything over. After Purim comes Parshas Parah and Parshas Hachodesh. And Haftarahs, both of them, and Yecheskel, are both talking about what will happen when Mashiach comes. Parshas Parah, v'zaraki aleichem mayim tahirim, Hashem will purify the entire Jewish people when Mashiach comes. Parshas Hachodesh, the karbanos which will be brought when Mashiach comes. Right, starting from Rosh Chodesh Nisan, So from after Purim, then we are already in a mode of Mashiach. And with that, we should also be in a mode of Mashiach now. We're in the 3 weeks. In the 3 weeks, in the past, we unfortunately had many, many sufferings. Yizayin Shivas B'Tammuz, we learned in Mesechta, Tainus, how many things happened on Shivas B'Tammuz, breaking of the Luchas. We learned about Pustamis learning a special Sefer Torah, breach of the city, and other things which happened on 17th of Tammuz. As Rebbe says, from when the Frierdiker Rebbe was redeemed in Yud Tammuz, this turned over the entire month of Tammuz, and that could become a month of Geula, a month of positivity. And therefore, we're in the 3 weeks. What are we going to focus on in the 3 weeks? On the negativity or the positivity of it? The positivity of it. And that's why for many years, Shivas B'Tammuz is on Shabbos, and we don't fast on that day, as well as Tisha B'Av will be on Shabbos, you don't fast on that day. And there's 2 aspects of a fast day. One aspect is that you fast. The other aspect is that it's a Eis Ratzon, a Yom Ratzon, a special day. And you only have that specialty, only that special day. And therefore, we elevate these 3 weeks by building the Beis HaMikdash, which is by learning the Hilchos Beis Hachodesh. So we'll finish today's shiur, the last 5 minutes, with a second video, which is in Hilchos Beis Hachodesh.
Eis Ratzon is the Shabbos after Shivas B'Tammuz, right?
Correct. I'm going to...
Yeah, the other Rebbe of B'nai Brak said the same thing. Yeah.
Okay, just make sure that the audio is a little bit better. Same as system. I'll make sure that the audio is okay on this. Share computer sound. All right.
Welcome to the second class on the structure and details of the second Beis HaMikdash. In the last class, we learned about the Hatzvi-Bais, and in this class, we're going to learn about the Ezras Noshim. So, for starters, it's called the Ezras Noshim because there was an upper level porch which was made for the woman. So that's indicated here. This is an upper level porch, and as you can see, it's on both sides. It's unclear whether it also extended into these sides as well, because we have doors over here and doors over here. Maybe it extended partially, or maybe now, in terms of the entrance, so in front of the entrance there were 12 steps. Each one of the steps was a half an amma high and a half an amma wide. So that means that the Ezras Noshim was 6 ammas higher than the Hatzvi-Bais, because there were 12 steps, each one was a half an amma high. Now, moving along in terms of the size of the Ezras Noshim, it was an exact square. It was 135 ammas by 135 ammas, which is about 212 feet by 212 feet, and later we'll show a representation of what that is. And then, as we can see, we have over here these corners. They were l'shachis, they were rooms, and each one was 40 ammas by 40 ammas. They were also square, and that's around 63 feet by 63 feet. And in terms of what these l'shachas were used for, so the first one over here was the lishkas and nazirim in the southeastern corner. It's where the nazirim would cook their carbon shlomim and cut their hair. This one over here in the northeastern corner was the lishkas dera eitzim. It's where the kehanim that were bali mum checked the wood for worms. This one here in the northwestern corner was the lishkas hamitzayroyim, where the mitzayer would tovel and then wait to place his thumbs into the Ezras Yisrael to have blood from his carbon as well as oil placed on his thumbs, thereby becoming tar. And this one over here in the southwestern corner was the lishkas beis shmanya. It's where the wine and oil was stored. Moving along, over here there was 15 steps. So this was in front of the Azara. There were these 15 round steps corresponding to the 15 Shir Hamales. Each one of the steps, like the steps in front of the Ezras Noshim itself, were a half an amma high and a half an amma wide. And this is where the Levim would stand and play their music. So this means that the Azara, which is next over here, was 7.5 ammas higher than the Ezras Noshim. And so over here there were 2 rooms under the Azara. So on each side of the steps there was a door that opened to a room. It was separate rooms, or maybe it was one room connected. It was located under the Azara where the Levim stored their musical instruments. And finally, there was a Bezdin of 23 judges at the entrance of the Azara, which means it was somewhere in the Ezras Noshim. Now, in terms of seeing a visual of the size of the Ezras Nashim and each of the Leshachas, so you can see over here, we have Eastern Parkway. Here we have Union. It's pretty much a full block all the way to the corner, and it extends all the way past. Here's the building of 770. Here's the courtyard. Here's the building with the library. It goes all the way to here. This is about the size of the Ezras Nashim. Here's another view of it. So you can see it extends all the way past the courtyard, and over here as well to Union. It goes all the way to the corner. And then in terms of the size of the Leshachas, so here's another visual in front of 770. You can see it goes from one side, it goes somewhat into the courtyard, then it goes all the way here, almost across the service lane. And here's another view of it, where you can see this is around the size of each of the Leshachas, so you can get an idea of the size of the Ezras Nashim as well as the Leshachas. And with that, we'll end the second class.
Okay, thank you for joining.
Okay.
I'm going to stop share this.
Achazia,
Okay,
I think it was Achazia was the name of the father of Yehoash.
okay, fine. We'll so we go back. We'll pause the share.